There's a certain kind of fear, specific, that never really fades away. It doesn't matter how many years has passed, how much technology evolves, or how many times a story gets retold. Sometimes some experiences just stick. In fact, the original Resident Evil is just one of those. Not just because it helped define survival horror, but because it created a feeling the modern games have spent decades trying to recapture. And now, of course, with strong reports that Capcom is rebuilding Resident Evil 1, once again using its modern RE engine, it really feels like that original nightmare is about to return in a way we have never quite seen before. This isn't just another remake conversation here. That already happened back in 2002 with the GameCube version, which many still consider one of the greatest remakes ever made. That version didn't just update graphics, it expanded the mansion, deepened the lore, refined the horror without losing what made the original special. So when people hear Resident Evil 1 Remake again, the immediate question's pretty simple. Why do it again? The answer, if the rumors and direction of recent remakes are anything to go by, is because Capcom isn't interested in just preserving the past anymore. They're interested in reinterpreting it for a completely different generation. I mean, look at what they did with Resident Evil 2, 3, 4. These weren't just simple touch-ups. They were really full-scale reimaginings built from the ground up with modern design philosophies. Over-the-shoulder cameras replaced fixed angles, movement became fluid, combat became more reactive, but underneath all of that, the core identity of each game remains pretty much intact. That balance between old and new is exactly what makes the idea of a modern Resident Evil 1 remake so damn interesting. Because the original game is slower, more refined, more confined, more deliberate. And translating that into a modern framework isn't as simple as updating controls and visuals. In fact, the Spencer Mansion isn't just a setting, it's a character. Every hallway, every locked door, every creak of wood under your feet is part of the experience. In the original and its first remake, the fixed camera angles actually played a huge role in that. You never quite knew what was waiting just off screen. That uncertainty created a tension in a way that modern free-moving cameras didn't naturally replicate. So the big question is, how does Capcom handle that? If the rumors are accurate, the new version is expected to follow the same general approach as the recent remakes, meaning a third-person over-the-shoulder perspective built in the RE engine, which alone changes how players experience the mansion. You're no longer being directed by the camera, you're in control of where you look, where you aim, how you move through each space. That could easily reduce fear if it's not handled carefully. But you see, this is where Capcom's recent track record really matters. They've shown they understand how to build tension in a modern format. Resident Evil 2 Remake proved that Mr. X wasn't scary because you couldn't see him. He was scary because you could hear him, because you knew he was somewhere nearby. Because the game gave you just enough information to feel unsafe without ever feeling predictable. Now apply that philosophy to the Spencer Mansion, suddenly the potential becomes clear. Imagine hearing something move in the next room. Not a scripted moment, but something dynamic. A zombie that didn't stay where you left it. A hallway that isn't as safe as it was 10 minutes ago. Like the mansion itself becoming less predictable the longer you stay inside it. That kind of design could bring back the tension in a completely new way. And then there's also the tone. The original Resident Evil had a certain charm to it, even in its horror. The voice acting, the pacing, the slightly exaggerated characters, it all gave the game a unique identity, but modern Resident Evil has shifted into something more grounded, more serious, cinematic. Well, if this remake is real and nearing completion, whatever, as multiple reports suggest, then it's likely leaning into that modern tone, which means Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield won't just be archetypes, they will be fully realized characters, closer to how they've been portrayed in recent games. More emotion, more tension in the interactions, more weight behind every decision they make, and that matters because the story of the first game is actually more important than people sometimes remember. Why? This is where everything begins. Umbrella, the T-virus, the betrayal within stars, the discovery that what looks like a routine investigation is actually something far more dangerous. And a modern remake has the chance to connect all of that more clearly to the broader Resident Evil universe, especially for players who actually came into the series through the newer titles. It's not just about revisiting the mansion, it's about redefining its place in the overall timeline. Another major point of speculation is how much content gets expanded. The 2002 remake already added new areas, new enemies like the Crimson Heads, deeper lore through files and environmental storytelling. Well, a modern version could take that even further. More sections of the mansion, more hidden paths, more backstory for characters like Wesker, Barry, Rebecca. There's also the possibility of dual companions, being more distinct this time around. In the original, playing as Jill or Chris offered different experiences, but a modern remake could push that much further. Unique story beats, different encounters, different perspectives, the same events. That kind of replayability fits pretty good with how Capcom has been designing its recent titles. On another hand, the RE engine has already proven itself as one of the best tools for horror in the industry. The lighting alone changed everything, shadows feel heavier, dark areas feel truly dark, flashlights don't just illuminate, they create tension, they limit what you can see, forcing you to move forward without ever feeling fully comfortable. Now put that inside the Spencer mansion. Tight corridors, limited lights, reflections on floors, rain hitting windows in the background, every visual detail working to just pull you deeper into the atmosphere. And it's not just about the visuals. Audio design has become just as important. Subtle sounds, distance, footsteps, doors creaking open somewhere far away. These are the kind of things that build dread over time. And a modern remake has the tools to make the mansion feel alive in a way it never really could before. But for all the excitement, there's also a real challenge here. Resident Evil 1 has already been remade once, and that version is still widely respected. It didn't lose its identity, it didn't over-modernize, it stayed true to what made the original special while improving it in very meaningful ways. A new remake doesn't have the luxury of just doing that again, it has to justify its existence. It has to offer something that neither the remake could. And that likely comes down to immersion. Not just seeing the mansion, but feeling like you're inside it. Not just solving puzzles, but being constantly aware that something could go wrong at any moment. In fact, if this remake leans into that, if it respects that foundation while building something new on top of it, then it has a real chance to stand alongside Capcom's best, newest modern releases. Maybe even surpasses them. If the rumors about its development and progress hold true, well, this might not turn out to be just another remake. It might come as a return to the moment that defined the genre, rebuilt with everything the industry has learned ever since. And the same question players asked decades ago: do you really want to go in there?